Ralph Sims, having been duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. If you will have a seat, please, and state your full name for the record and spell your last name also. Ralph Sims. Good afternoon, Mr. Sims. Good afternoon. You need to speak into the microphone, okay? Actually, move it up, not down. There you go. All right. Mr. Sims, how old are you? 38. Little louder. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? St. Louis, Missouri. You're wearing one of the orange suits, so you're in custody. Why are you in custody right now? I'm charged with a conspiracy case out of LA. Los Angeles? Yes. Federal case? Yes. What kind of conspiracy? Wiretap. Okay. Wiretap is a law enforcement tool. What does the conspiracy involve? Is it a conspiracy for tax fraud or money laundering? Cocaine. Cocaine. You've been indicted in federal court in LA for a cocaine conspiracy? Yes. Are you the only defendant in that case? No. Who are some of the other people in your case? If you know any of the people in your case, personally familiar with them? Yes. Who are some of those people? I don't know their real names. That's okay. Let's give the monikers, the nicknames. We have Tito, Throw, Little Rob. Little Rob. How about Bull? Yes. I want to show you Government's Exhibit 10C. I'm going to put it up there in a second, but it's kind of hard to see. May I approach? Yes. It's already in evidence. Do you recognize folks in that picture? Yes. Are you in that picture? Yes. It's real dim. The jurors will get to see it in the jury room at some point, but if we go across from left to right, who's in gray? Little Bull. Is that the same Bull that you mentioned being in your case out in LA? Yes. We have got someone wearing a blue Da Vinci shirt and BMF necklace. Who is that? Ill. We'll talk about him in a minute. It's hard for me to see the guy in the middle, but who's this guy right here? Throw. Is that the same Throw that's in your indictment? Yes. Do you know who the man here is with the bottle? Yes. Who's that? Little Rob. Do you know a guy named J-Bo? Yes. Is J-Bo related in any way to Little Rob? Yes. How so? Brothers. So Little Rob, I think you mentioned, he's in your indictment out in California? Yes. And then really an unclear picture, but who is that? That's myself. You've been charged in a federal cocaine conspiracy in Los Angeles. Have you gone to trial or pled guilty yet? No. This is before all that? Yes. All these people in Government's Exhibit 10C, you know them in some way. What is it you guys have in common besides you're all in the same indictment? Do you belong to the same group? Yes. What is that group called? BMF. What does BMF stand for? One was Black Music Foundation. One was Black Mafia Family. So you've heard BMF described in several ways? Yes. Do you have any other pending cases? In other words, were you indicted in Detroit or here or Orlando in connection with BMF? No. Allegations? No. What is your understanding as to any benefit you might receive in exchange for your truthful testimony here today, or any other cooperation you might be providing the government? Maybe you're helping out in LA as well. What's your understanding of how that might help you? No promises made to me as far as... Okay, no promises. But the thing is, if you're truthful and the government says that was substantial assistance, what is it you hoped for gain? I guess lesser time as possible, I guess. But you don't know right or what your time would be? No. Do you know who makes the final decision as to whether you would get less time? The judge, I believe. This judge here, Judge Evans, or your judge out in California? The judge in California. You've been in jail before this case? Yes. You were convicted of what? Second-degree murder. That was in St. Louis? Yes. How much time did you serve for that case? 17 and a half, 18 years. And you were released on parole? Yes. When did you get out of Missouri prison? 2003, end of 2003. After you were released on parole, did you end up in Atlanta? Yes. What was it that brought you to Atlanta? Meaning, what was going on in Atlanta, if anything, that you came to? I came to Meech's birthday party. Who is Meech? Demetrius Flenory. I want to show you Government's Exhibit 15A. It's already in evidence. Do you recognize the person in the Ricardo Santos, Tennessee driver's license? Yes. Who's that? Demetrius Flenory. You know him as Big Meech. What was his position or connection to the BMF, if any? He was the leader of the BMF. You mentioned you came to Atlanta for his party. I'm going to show you Government's Exhibit 4, also already in evidence. How was it that you learned that? Did you already know Meech? When you get out of prison, you already knew Meech? No. How is it that you came to learn that he was having a party? From, I believe, J-Bo and Little Rob, maybe. I'm sorry? From Little Rob or J-Bo? Okay. Does J-Bo or Little Rob, do they have a St. Louis connection? Are they from St. Louis? Yes, they're from St. Louis. Did you know J-Bo and Little Rob before you came to Atlanta in 2003? I know Little Rob. Did you grow up with him? He's my nephew. So you're related in some way then to J-Bo? No. No. Okay. When you said that Little Rob and J-Bo are brothers because they have a shared parent, or brothers like they're steadfast friends? I think more so like steadfast friends, I think. They may not have used that term, but that's what you take it to mean? Uh-huh. Okay. Government's Exhibit 4. Have you seen that before? Yes. What is it? That was the invitation to the party I came to in '04 or '03 or something. Describe a little bit for the jury. So, did you go to this party? Yes. Describe for the jury a little bit what this party was like. It was pretty big. A lot of people was there. Was it a fancy party or just a bunch of people standing around? It was a pretty fancy party. He had a lot of animals from the zoo, so to speak. When you came to Atlanta, went to this party, started to get to know folks, what did you understand BMF to be? I know what it stood for. We've already talked about that. What was BMF? What was your understanding? It was a record label. After you got here and went to the party, were you invited to stay anywhere in Atlanta, a place where you could lay your head? Yes. Who invited you to stay and where? Little Rob. I stayed at the house called The Gate. Is that where you ended up staying at first? Yes. I'm going to show you Government's Exhibit 6A, already in evidence. Do you recognize that? Yeah, that's The Gate. How long did you live at The Gate? I think probably like 2 months or so. Tell the jurors how it worked, that basically you're given free room and board, or was it not free? Yeah, it was free. I don't know. I guess the guys just took a liking to me and I stayed. Did you let them know that you were a convicted murderer, or was that already known? I didn't just go around talking about it, but I believe it was probably already known because of Little Rob. You said because of Little Rob? Uh-huh. Who else lived at the gate during those couple of months you lived there? Little Rob, Throw, Tito, D-Shock. D-Shock, who's that? I don't know his real name. Okay, but is he someone from St. Louis? You met him here in Atlanta? He's from St. Louis. How about a guy named Blue Da Vinci? Does that name ring a bell? Yes. Did you ever see him over at the gate? Yes. Did he stay there or did he just come by? I think he just came by and stayed there sometimes, but he didn't really live there. Did you do anything while you were living at the gate to make yourself useful or helpful? No, maybe. I don't understand the question. Well, you are living there. Did you end up doing anything around the house? Yeah, I just keep the house clean and stuff like that. Did people ask you to do that or you just took care of it? I just started doing it. I was living there. Did you get paid for doing that? Maybe once or twice. Yeah, I get paid for doing it. Who gave you the money? Jabo. Cash? Yeah. While you were at the gate, did you ever come across either cocaine, and I don't mean personal use quantities, but bricks or large sums of cash, piles of money? I never saw any cocaine, no. Yeah, I saw some money before. Describe for the jurors where and in what context you saw the money. They had a few people sitting in the bedroom counting money. I don't know how much it was, but it wasn't but a few people, couple of people sitting there counting it. But I never saw any drugs while I was at the gate, no. You mentioned when I showed you Government's Exhibit 10C, which is the picture that had you in it, that the guy in the Blue Da Vinci shirt was ill. Did you ever see ill at the gate while you were living there? He would come by every now and then, but like as far as living there or just being there like everybody, no. How about Meech? He would stop by. Like ill, he'd drop in from time to time? Uh-huh. Jabo? Jabo lived there. Where did you live after the gate? The condo called the elevator. This is Government's Exhibit 7B. Do you recognize that? Yes. What's that? That's the place called the elevator. There's a bunch of garages there. I don't know if you can tell, but it seems to be a unit here, a unit in the middle. Which one was the one you lived in? The unit in the middle. The one with the red sign on it? Uh-huh. Okay, who lived at the elevator with you? Myself, Jabo, and Meech. Did you ever see bricks of cocaine at the elevator? No. Did you ever see people counting money, or did you count money at the elevator? Yes, I counted money at the elevator. By yourself? No, maybe Tito, Little Rob. What kind of quantities of money are we talking about? Probably $1 million or so. $1 million overall, or in an individual count you and these other folks counted out $1 million? Yeah, probably in an individual count. Just one time you counted money at the elevator? No, maybe like 2-3 times. Okay, how long, ballpark, if you remember, did you live at the elevator with Meech and Jabo? I think probably a couple of months. And where did you move after that? A house called Space Mountain. Did you call Space Mountain anything else? I used to call it Bugsy Siegel also. Why did you call it the Bugsy Siegel? I don't know. Somebody just gave it that name, said it probably resembled the house that Bugsy Siegel was staying in or something. That's Government's Exhibit 5A. Do you recognize that? Yes. What's that? The Bugsy Siegel. So you lived there for a while as well? No, as soon as we moved in that house, it was raided, I believe a few days or a week or so. Raided means what? The FBI agents kicked the door in or somebody Were you in there when it was raided? No. Do you know roughly when that happened? It had to be right around Thanksgiving of '04. Thanksgiving of '04. Had you been at Space Mountain that day it was raided earlier in the day? Yes. Did you ever see bricks of cocaine at Space Mountain? Yes. Rough figure? Anywhere from 100 or more kilos. So on different instances you saw 100 or more? Yes. How about money? Yes. Did you help count money at Space Mountain? Yes. What quantities are we talking about? It was a couple of different times. It was, like I say, always $1 million or so. The most I think was like $6 million. There was one instance where you counted with help from others $6 million in cash? Yes. Tell the jurors how you do that. Do you just have a bank of money counters and you're dropping the bills in? No, we used to count money by hand. Money counters were too expensive? I don't know. Let me ask you this. Were you told you must count this by hand? Yeah. Who told you that? Jabo and somebody, maybe Jabo, Tito maybe. That was the rule? Count it by hand? Uh-huh. Tell the jurors how. It sounds like initially your first couple of months at the gate you weren't exposed to, other than maybe one instance where people were counting some money, anything to do with drugs. How did it come to be that you were allowed to or did see these 100-kilo caches of cocaine and start counting money? I think I was with Jabo one time and we had went shopping or something, and he was like, well, since you're around, I'm just going to let you start making a little money like everybody else. So I would start doing the job that everybody else did. It would be as far as like counting money or unloading the limousines when drugs came. Let's talk about that latter thing first. Unloading limousines. First of all, you say limos. What do you mean by a limo? The classic Lincoln Town Car? Yeah, Lincoln Town Car or Hummer limousines that had secret compartments that had drugs. Were you ever involved in opening the compartments and removing the drugs? Yes. Tell the jurors what these compartments were like and how you opened them. To open them, you had to go through 3 or 4 different stages to open it, maybe. What's an example of a stage you had to go through? You may have to turn the air conditioner on, put it on heat, then hit the back window button or something, then the brake, and then it would come open, something like that. Okay, and it that's coming open is the trap or the hidden compartment? Yes. Okay, and what would be in that trap in the limos that arrived? Either drugs or money. Where were the limos arriving? Where were they coming to? You mentioned a bunch of residences. At the time when I was involved, it was Space Mountain. Space Mountain. Okay. Were you ever the person who did the air conditioner, brake, rear window combo to pop them open? Yes. Who told you how to do it? I'm not for sure. Just being around doing it, seeing it done. All right. Describe for the jurors how the drugs were packed into these traps or compartments. Each limo may have had 10, maybe 10 different compartments, and I think like about 7 kilos would fit into each compartment. So an individual limo would have how much cocaine in it typically when it arrived? Like 100 kilos. What would you do with the kilos once the traps were open? We would get them out and take them in the house. The house being Space Mountain? Uh-huh. Where would you put them in the house? The basement of the house. And then did the limos drive away empty? Yes. Did I interrupt you? Or maybe the limos would just sit there in the yard. Were you ever involved in filling the limos, meaning their traps or compartments? Yes. What would you put in them? Money. Money that you had helped count? Yes. And how was the money put in vacuum bags and put in there? How did you get the money in there? No, we didn't put them in vacuum bags. We just stacked them in rows. The money was in stacks of 5,000 and you just put them in there. You mentioned a Hummer limo and a Lincoln Town Car. Both of those are limos that you helped unload, meaning they had traps and brought drugs? Yes. Did you ever drive these things? Were you the person who brought the drugs in or drove the money away? No. Did you ever get to know by name, meaning a name like Bull or Ralphie or Tito, the drivers of the limos? Yes. Who were the drivers? One guy name was Uncle Nate. The other guy name was Salsa. Were there any other ways that you learned about that BMF cocaine came into Atlanta besides limos? Sometimes it was shipped through some type of shipping company. And how would it end up in the BMF's hands? In a box? A crate? A box. A big box. The box was like a big black box. Okay. Is there anything in the court that you can point to? If this cart was on its side, the cart that has the little projector on it, if it was on its side, is that the size of box you're talking about? No, if it's on its side, it would probably be twice as big as that. The crates that would come in for BMF would be twice as big as that cart here? Uh-huh. Were you ever involved in receiving those crates and confirming the contents? Yes, once. And what was inside the crates? Cocaine. About how much per crate? Probably 150 kilos per crate, if that many. Where was it that you counted the kilos that one time you were involved with the crates coming in? We counted them at Yogi's house, and then we took them to the place called the Horse Ranch. Would you recognize a photo of Yogi's house if you saw it? Were you there often enough to be able to recognize it? I don't think so. Did you ever see those types of crates, the big crates you're talking about, sitting at either the gate or Space Mountain? Yes. But on those instances, you weren't directed to unload or load them? No. What were you paid, if anything, for a load coming in and you emptying the compartments? $1,000. Cash? Yes. Did you have your own customers for cocaine? Were you a distributor for BMF? No. Were you authorized to give anyone those bricks as opposed to stack them up where you were told to stack them up? Maybe once or twice, yes. Tell the jurors about that. Like maybe one time, I guess, J-Bo or somebody, or may have been Tito, I don't know, would tell me to go and give this guy 5 or 10 kilos of cocaine, something like that. Okay, but without someone telling you to do that, were you allowed to hand out bricks? No. Do you remember in those 1 or 2 times where J-Bo or Tito or someone told you to hand bricks to someone, who those people were? Yes. Who? One of them was Doc or B.I. Doc, did you say who the other one was, or you do not remember? Yes, Jeezy. Jeezy? Yes. We've heard some in this trial about a possible musician named Young Jeezy. Are you referring to the same person? Yes.